From UFOs to psychic powers and government conspiracies, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know.
And we're back with more listener mail. I have to admit, this listener, Becky, I'll just leave it at Becky, hipped me to a story that I am saddened to say that I was not even up on. There have been so many police shootings of unarmed black men that it's almost easy for some of these stories to get lost in the shuffle. And I was not aware of the story of Winston Smith. So here's a letter from Becky. Winston, this is Becky's opinion. Winston Smith was assassinated by a cohort of undercover Minneapolis PD, the sheriff's office, and the U.S. Marshals 4 months ago. All the footage from the parking garage where it happened are missing, and his girlfriend, who was in the car at the time, has yet to testify. During the vigil for Smith, a protester named Deanna Marie was struck by a drunk driver with links to white supremacist organizations and killed. To this day, neighborhood businesses have hired private security services equipped with long guns and sonic devices have patrolled the spot where the protests took place. This has been a major event in local grassroots political activism in the wake of the Minneapolis uprising, but has received no national media attention. I agree. I don't know if you guys heard anything about this. I know we all probably read the same letter, but I knew nothing of the killing of Winston Smith, who was a comedian, an outspoken, kind of YouTuber, Instagram kind of content creator, not hugely popular, like not gazillions of followers, but someone who clearly was well liked locally, like in the Minneapolis area, made like lots of kind of funny videos that then started to become a little more politically charged, after the killing of George Floyd, with Minneapolis kind of having become sort of a ground zero for a lot of this Black Lives Matter protests around Floyd's killing. But there's some very fishy things about this case. I mean, truly. For example, he was on a date with a woman when he was killed. He had a warrant out for his arrest for failing to appear for a sentencing hearing for a parole violation stemming from gun possession. And, that is what it is in and of itself. But the U.S. Marshals came for him, and they claim that he pulled a gun and fired first, and that's what caused them to kill him. The woman he was with said that he did not have a gun. They claimed they confiscated a gun from the scene, including shell casings, and that is being disputed, by witnesses. Also, it's true, whether the video is missing or not, quote unquote, there is no video to be had of the incident of the shooting, and that death of the protester was at the hand of a multiple DUI possessing, I guess, individual. And I haven't dug deep enough to find the ties to any white supremacist group. So just want to, But Ben, did you hear anything about any of those ties or any further kind of conspiratorial stuff around the killing of the protester?
Yeah, so I want to be very clear. Winston Boogie Smith was only 32 years old, and there are 3 kids who are never going to see their father again. And the way that this sort of stuff gets reported can be so inhumane and dirty, like when you see someone who is the victim of injustice or crime, and the reporting just hinges on
previous
the fact
conviction,
that they weren't perfect. Oh, have you met a perfect person? Anyhow, it's dicey, man, because first, yes, it did lead to the decision to have more body cameras, right? But there was no footage. Becky, first off, thank you so much for this letter. There is no surveillance video that disappeared. There are also questions about like how it was reported. When the local news first reported it, I think they called the guy just a murder suspect.
That's exactly right. Yes.
Yeah, and that's
They retracted it in a tweet, by the
and
way.
apologized,
Yeah,
sure, later.
but
Yeah, and then there was also infighting with the law enforcement organizations like the county sheriff. This took place in a place called Ramsey County. A guy named Bob Fletcher, he went public and accused the U.S. Marshals of being misleading when they talked about their policies regarding body cameras. And he said, here at the sheriff's office, we've repeatedly asked to use body cameras, but we always get denied. Now, this, of course, it's true and it's unfortunate. It didn't get widely reported in the national news. For some reason, the public conversation found one face and put one face on a systemic problem, right? And in doing so, they dehumanized all the other very real, very human victims. And I think it was June 7th, right after this, when the DOJ announced that federal agents would now be required to wear body cameras for warranted arrest and stuff like that. That was just 4 days after Winston Smith was murdered. It was on June 3rd, 2021. And if you look at the story as it's unfolding now, you will see a lot of sketchy stuff, conflicting statements from authorities, things that don't match, strange corrections, like the idea of how many cartridge cases were recovered from a vehicle, which is how many times an officer may have fired. It's a story that's not over, and the problem is that for people who don't want these investigations to continue, or for people who don't want these to make the news, it's unfortunately very easy for these stories to get buried unless the public stays on it, and actively pursues it themselves.
I'm just reading about this for the first time, you guys. I'm sorry.
It's a lot.
I'm looking through NPR and NBC and just trying to see like what all's been said. I'm just putting out here that I like that we're having the conversation about body cameras and even the desire for officers and people who run police departments to have those things. Like for me, it's always an assumed, well, police officers don't want those body cameras, but I think that's a complete misthink on my part.
Well, it depends on their intention. If they don't want them, that probably means they're up to no good, or that they plan on being up to no good. And there's plenty of police officers that have nothing but the best of intentions and the best of adherence to protocol and all that. So they would be the ones that be like, well, I've got nothing to hide, so body cam me all day long,
I guess I'm just imagining it's extra scrutiny, right? On no matter what you're doing, whether it's good or bad. It's like having a hall monitor, somebody watching you at all the time.
It should be scrutiny to protect you. It should be scrutiny to protect you if you've not done anything wrong. I would be all for that if I'm out there just doing what I'm supposed to do. And even if you make a mistake, the body cameras will show what happened. There's friendly fire incidents all the time, for example. Like, let's say you accidentally shot an undercover police officer, because they didn't identify themselves properly. The body camera will show that you did not act with malice. I just don't think there's anybody that would, if they have their hearts in the right place, that they would be against having body cameras. Well,
if you'd like to learn more about this, if this is your first time hearing of this case, fellow conspiracy realist, I would recommend checking out MPR News, the killing of Winston Smith. That's M as in Mother Public Radio, not NPR as in Nobel Prize. They've got a good write-up here. You can also see some excellent reporting by Vox about this that goes into much more detail. And
there also is it's obviously has an agenda, and it's a very, very strong opinion, a very divisive case, but there is a site, WinstonSmithWasAssassinated.com, where supporters of this concept, you can donate to the cause and all of that, and they do link out to his personal social media. You can make up your own mind, but I don't know, I only made it clear that this was our listeners' opinion because these things are being stated very unequivocally as fact, and we don't have all the facts yet, but it sure is disturbing and very suspect.
Also, I believe the names of the officers involved have yet to be released to the public because they were apparently working undercover at the time, pursuing something different. By the way, when they got word of Smith's location, they did not ID themselves. They just surrounded the guy's car with guns drawn.
Dude.
That's what we're seeing reported.
Dude, if you have a gun in the car, it doesn't matter what the legality is. If you've got a gun in your car and there are people surrounding your car with guns who are like not police officers at first glance, they're not saying
Plain
I'm
clothes,
a police officer,
yeah.
Why would you not try and defend yourself if you could? I don't know. Whatever.
Exactly.
100%. It's all, I don't know. It could just be a series of bad decisions and miscommunications, but that's why I think it's, the idea of he was assassinated, for speaking out against police violence. I think that may be a stretch. I don't know. I just don't know. There's so much of this. It's just really starting to be just exhausting, and it really just takes... It just kind of sucks the life out of you after a while. It's like, why does it keep happening? But I don't know. Was he targeted and actually assassinated for a reason, or was it just another example of police not being properly trained or having biases that lead them to making these stupid knee-jerk reaction decisions?
These are important questions, and they're questions that will continue because we're talking about a systemic problem here. And I appreciate that you pointed out the website, Winston Smith was assassinated, Noel. This site is up now. You can get more information. The Vox article, again, what we know about the police killing of Winston Smith, highly recommended. One of the big takeaways, if you've never heard about this case, is to ask yourself, how many other ones have I not heard about? How many other things didn't make it, to the national news? Because I assure you there are multiple instances, and there will be in the future. It's a statistical certitude, unfortunately.
Hey,